Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, and more. Because this is a show about hope and happiness, balancing out all the bad news out there that is very easily accessible from using two fingers wherever you are. And so at 8 a.m. every weekday morning, I'd like to balance that out with bringing you what's right with the world, what's right with our community, what's right with people, what's right with you and me. I'm Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated. And as my friend / client April will say, I am hashtag relentlessly inspiring. And a new one that I thought was super funny. My friend Diane said that I take any topic which is positive and cremate it. So thank you, Diane, for that new visual description of what I do with words and concepts, because I am on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And so that's why I do what I do. And thank you for continuing to stay with me and to drink some of my rose-colored Kool-Aid so that you feel better in the morning, which hopefully will carry you at least until lunch. All right, today is November the 15th. And as you know, I've been trying to start the day with some little trivia about the day or celebrating some aspect of life. So what is November 15th? Well, for the deliciousness of life, which you know, and I think one thing that we tend to take for granted that can bring us a smile or a breath of just good. So to celebrate today's deliciousness of life, it is National Raisin Bran Day, my favorite cereal, and National Bunt Day. Not bunting in baseball, but bunting in cakes. So you have my permission to have both of those today. It's interesting. The pan design of the bunt cake was derived from a European cake called the Google Huff. I like the slogan, nothing bunt cakes, nothing but cakes. I thought that was extremely clever. So kudos to your marketing team. All right. It is also National Steve Irwin Day. And that's a little bit of a sad story because of how he passed. But we do want to remember just how much good he did. The infamous crocodile hunter, he inspired thousands of people around the world to prioritize wildlife conservation and take more interest in the care of his animals. His name is associated with environmental activism and wildlife preservation. He was born February 22nd, 1960, in a home full of animals to parents who were in love with wildlife. His father was a wildlife expert and herpetologist, and his mother was a wildlife rehabilitator who took care of injured or orphaned animals from snakes to kangaroos. And I didn't know that, so that makes total sense why he became what he became. In 1970, Steve's family moved to Queensland, where they opened a reptile park, first called Beerwah Reptile and Fauna Park, then Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park, and then finally Australia Zoo. And that's what created, when he turned 6, he was given a 12-foot python Ugh. By age 9, he wrestled his first crocodile with supervision from his father. In 91, he married a woman who loved wildlife almost as much as he did. And it was footage from his honeymoon, which was spent trapping crocodiles, that formed the first episode of the TV series that brought him his fame, The Crocodile Hunter. On September 4th, 2006, Steve Irwin was on a diving expedition filming for Ocean's Deadliest, when ironically, a stingray pierced his heart and killed him. His public memorial service was viewed by over 300 million views worldwide. And we thank Steve for helping us understand endangered animals and conservation. And I know where you are. You're with my dad on the other side, loving us from there. Thank you for all that you did and the legacy of your life. Finally, November 15th is a special day because it is Philanthropy Day. So I thought it would be very fitting to play you some on-location beat reporting footage from my interviews and my visit with the Hemophilia Foundation of Southern California. When we come back here on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, NBC News Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, including my YouTube channel, where we're close to 250,000 views. So please do free subscribe there. You'll get my 575 shows over 489 consecutive weeks, but who's counting, as well as my new short film, the new PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities, and of course, my red carpet playlist with some fascinating people from Layla Ali, although she was actually on my show, the Righteous Brothers, some great Shanana. So he was on my show too. Yeah, a lot of my red carpet guests actually end up coming to my show. So if you would like to be on this show, by the way, and get promoted with your book, product, service, just contact me, drmarissa.life on the form, say guest, and we'll chat and see if you might not be my next guest with the Asian Oprah. And as promised, here is some footage from an accidental coverage. So y'all know I do beat reporting for my New York news agency. Every once in a while, there's a hiccup, and both my dispatcher and I misread the call sheet and thought it was Saturday, and it was actually Sunday. So I raced up to the USC Coliseum, and when I stopped there, they said, no, it is not the live walk that I was going to cover for suicide prevention. It was instead for Hemophilia Foundation. And the woman was super nice and said, please come back and cover this. So once I found out that it was the wrong day, I did come back, and I got to spend a little time with the executive director of Hemophilia Foundation, Southern California, and a very special young lady who is not just a person with a blood disorder, using her experience to increase awareness of this very worthy cause. Enjoy.
Sponsors Takeda and Hemophilia Alliance, National Community Partners, Iron Mountain, Pfizer, and Shankwitz Enzyme, and our national sponsors, partners.
Good morning. This is Dr. Marissa. You know me as the Asian Oprah. We're reporting live today on the USC Coliseum grounds with a very important event, and I have the organizer here. I'd love her to introduce herself and tell me why we're here.
Hi, my name is Michelle Kim. I'm the Executive Director of the Hemophilia Foundation of Southern California. And we serve families and patients in 9 counties in Southern California with rare genetic bleeding disorders such as hemophilia.
And what are you doing here today?
We are raising money, and what is so exciting is this is our first live event in over 20 months. So we are so excited that all our sponsors, our patients and families have come out to support our important cause.
Absolutely, and this is a walk that anybody could come and support, yes?
Absolutely, please come out. We have so many fun booths. They're Olympic themed. We even have Swordplay LA. There's kids from stuff over there. Professional golfer. We have archery. We have our summer camp, the Painted Turtle, which was interestingly started by Paul Newman, and so much fun. We're going to have the Laker girls. We're going to have a flyover after the walk by the Tiger Squadron.
Wow.
So there is going to be a lot of fun, and there's water provided. So please come out and join us.
Absolutely, and this is at USC Coliseum.
Yes, at the LA Coliseum from 9 to 12.
And for more information on how to support your organization,
www.SoCal.org.
fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Of course. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Dr. Marissa reporting live, always bringing you what's right about the world, what's right about community, what's right about you and me.
This is the Painted Turtle, and so what they do is they support children and families with rare chronic disorders. And in the summer, they have a summer camp, and normally these kids won't be able to attend camp. But here they have the opportunity. They have a fully staffed medical facility called the Well Shell, and kids are able to go and enjoy camp just like other kids would.
Beautiful. And it started by Paul
Paul
Newman.
Newman started it.
That's
we
awesome.
send our kids with rare bleeding disorders every summer for a week.
That's-
And there they actually learn this life-saving technique of self-infusion, and that basically is shooting up. They have to access their medicine through an IV in their arm or hand. They learn to do it by themselves by the age of 8.
Wow.
Life-saving. And actually, if you go over to that booth, sponsored by the Orthopedic Hemophilia Treatment Center, we have fake arms where people can actually practice and learn how to get an IV in their veins. So
That's
feel free.
amazing. Can you tell me how this works?
So this works by simulating an IV infusion. So this has tubes inside of it. We have, so basically it teaches the kids using IV needles, how to infuse themselves so that they can live normal lives and do what they need to do and things like that. And this
Fantastic.
helps to
Teach them how to do
teach
that.
them how to do that. Exactly.
Awesome.
So everything is simulation, and eventually we'll get the red dye in there. It'll actually look a little more realistic for you. But
Fantastic.
Make sure everything's working right.
Yep. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Good morning. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. You know me as the Asian Oprah, and I'm here at the USC Coliseum at a really great event. It is the Hemophilia Foundation fundraiser. There's a walk, and I found a wonderful human being who has a very direct and special ties with this organization. So if you could introduce yourself and tell me why you're here.
Hi, I'm Yotar Mitra. I have a bleeding disorder as well, and I've been coming here since 2017, I believe, and I've been volunteering ever since.
Fantastic. And when did you find out about your blood disorder?
I found out in February of 2017.
So how old were you?
I was like 12.
Wow. And how did that, like, what did you go through?
I went through a lot, especially because I was kind of like more older. So I didn't grow up with it, so finding out about it was kind of hard, especially because I was in middle school. So, and then I suffer with like really bad anxiety. So it just like came down all of me at once. So it was kind of hard for me.
Well, you don't look like you suffer from anxiety now, and I'm told that you actually, lobby for this organization. So I'm going to give you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award because you're taking something that is dark and making it light for other people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, do you want to do this with me? Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Thank you.
And I wanted to bring you those interviews because it is National Philanthropic Day today, November 15th, but also because I do absolutely think that philanthropy should not be something that is done when we make enough money and have it stored away and overages go to a good cause. I love the fact that more and more companies are building philanthropy right into their organizational mission. Tom's is a great example. One pair of shoes for me, and one pair of shoes for someone in need. The more companies that adopt that, I think, are the companies that we should be shopping from, so that we are supporting not just product and the companies that get rich from product, but we are doing our part when we buy from specific organizations that are doing that are doing philanthropy also benefit. It sends a great message because as consumers, we absolutely have the power of choice, and our money or our buying power does make a difference. So I believe that companies should be held accountable for the messages they send. If you hear of companies and shows and people who are not valuing diversity, who participate in hate crimes, who participate in hate rhetoric, who don't take responsibility for what they're saying, we absolutely should stop shopping there. And if more of us did that kind of thing, I think the more message and understanding, the more changes will happen in hashtag be the change that you want to see. Okay? All right. And as a special offer, I wanted to bring you, now that the holiday season is sort of unofficially started. I always see like Thanksgiving, so we're a little bit early, but it is time for the holidays. The good news is this one seems a little more celebratory than last holidays when we weren't sure what we were going to have, and there were surges because of the holiday get-togethers in COVID. But the majority of people, I hope the majority of people, but many people are taking responsibility for their health and their loved ones by getting the vaccine, wearing face masks when they're inside, and doing all those things that need to be done, not to take away your rights or your choice, but to be responsible in not carrying COVID and not transmitting COVID. So the science is not a bad word. Medical science is based on tests and results, and we've trusted it in the past, and there's no reason just because politics got involved that we should not trust medical science anymore. And I say that to highlight companies and organizations who absolutely are trying to help not just themselves, but others. And because it is National Philanthropy Day, I wanted to highlight my own 501c. It was hashtag COVID silver lining. I finally had the time to sit down and actually register for a nonprofit, something I've wanted to do for a long time, and then take the products that I have and give them to organizations that serve teens, kids, and young adults who have temporarily forgotten. And that's my nonprofit 501c called 8 Ways to Happiness. And because it's the holidays, I am offering a very special $88 value for $28. That goes to my nonprofit, and I'm calling it my Happy 88 Meal. You can order that at my website, drmarissa.life, for $28. You will get an audiobook copy of 8 Ways to Happiness, my #1 best-selling book, as well as a download of my children's book, Mommy, What Are Feelings, as well as a download of my Balanced Tai Chi and Qigong moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time, as well as my new short film, PPP, Post-Pandemic Possibilities, as well as some original music to bring it up to $88 for only $28. So, holiday gift for someone who has everything, or a holiday gift for yourself, or a holiday gift for someone who isn't feeling as happy as they could. There is a plethora of offerings in that. Oh, I almost forgot. And registration in the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa. So those of you who don't know about that, it's a online good life habit that I started in July of 2011. And I used to do it every single month consecutively until something had to give. So now we do it for special occasions, but you can do it anytime. And you just invest $21, and that's part of the Happy 88 meal, that you stop complaining for 21 consecutive days. Warning label is you may actually smile more, laugh more, have better relationships. And as one of my participants said, they had better sex. They said that, not me. All right. So please go to drmarissa.life and order the Happy 88 meal for the holidays, because I want you to help my nonprofit, my own philanthropy, as well as you feel really good about doing it, and you get a whole bunch of stuff. Okay? And when we come back, I can't think of a better cause and a better person who we just... I don't want to say lost. We did not lose him, but he did pass. He went over to the other side where my dad is and Steve Irwin is. His name is Frank Shankwitz. And I can't think of a better spotlight interview than to highlight the founder, the co-founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation. He is not only one of the nicest, kindest people. We just had National Day of Human Kindness a couple of days ago. He is absolutely one of the kindest men I've ever met. And great laugh. I'll miss his laugh, but we can get his laugh from the Spotlight interview. He also made me cry. And, tears are the disinfectant that keep your heart soft. So it's not a bad thing. So get your Kleenex box ready. When we come back, my Spotlight interview with Frank Shankwitz, here on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, CNBC News Radio, NBC Sports News Radio, and NBC Sports Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. All the major platforms and minor platforms. You absolutely can find me everywhere. You just Google Dr. Marissa, or in my house, my niece works for Google, so we say Christina it. And I'm so happy that I am everywhere now and available to you. You can get a happy tip sheet actually for nothing if you go to drmarissa.life and sign up there. And I'm about ready to send out my holiday newsletter with just, always something affirming, life affirming, you affirming what is right with you. Okay. And as promised, here is my spotlight interview with the co-founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, Frank Shankwitz, to celebrate National Philanthropy Day. Enjoy.
Frank Shankwitz is the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation in 1980 with a number of others, and has now grown to 64 chapters in the U.S., 36 international chapters covering 5 continents, and has granted over 300,000 wishes worldwide, with a wish being granted somewhere in the world on an average of 38 minutes. Frank has spoken at the Ohio State University, Harvard University, and has been featured in Forbes as one of the 10 top keynote speakers. Honors include the President's Call to Service Award, the Making a World of Difference, and the Ellis Island Medal of Honor Award. Without further ado, please welcome to my studio, Frank Shankwitz. Hi.
Happy to see you again.
Oh, it's so good to see you, and I'm going to see you this week as well. So I am excited to always bump into you because the work that you've done and watching you sort of embrace the work that you've done and now all the exciting things that are happening, I'm so happy for you. I hope you know that and feel that.
It's been a heck of a ride. I've never expected it.
So let's start with that. I was going to ask you, as a high school student at Prescott High School in Arizona, did you ever think or believe that your life would be what it is now?
No, not at all. And even before that, I was raised very poor. We lived in the back of a car. We lived in tents.
Wow.
And when I was in grade school, in fact, my mother left me when I was in 7th grade. She said, I can't afford you anymore. But I had a little town in Seligman, Arizona. I had a mentor named Juan Delgadillo. In fact, he found a Mexican family that I could live with for a couple of years. And he taught me the purpose of giving back whenever you can and changing those negative things into positive things. And I just always appreciated the words that he gave me. And he also taught me the work ethic, the character, the integrity. And as I moved on to high school, because you said Prescott, Arizona, I kept that with my coaches, again, mentoring me, helping me. And then my employer, I worked all through high school, would just give me that, again, that work ethic, and it led to several promotions. By the time I graduated high school, and I had rejoined my mother at that point, that I was making more money than she was and able to help her. Even though we didn't have a good relationship, she was still my mother, and I was able to help her.
Wow. I've never, in all the years that I've known you, I've never heard this part of the story. That is even more amazing, because I think some people think that, you're well off, and so you start a foundation to give back. But that is not the story at all. So
no, not at all. Not at all. It's a very poor existence. And then following high school, I went to the Air Force, again, because of the work ethic that Juan Delgadillo taught me, advanced right away. I was in Air Police, as they call it, but selected for several honor guards throughout the bases I was stationed at. And my most thrilling moment, I love world history, especially World War II, and follow Winston Churchill and his adventures quite excessively. Mm-hmm. And was on his honor guard, selected to be one of the on his honor guard when he was buried. And it just such a thrill in my life.
Did you ever feel like, why me? I don't feel like it's not fair as a child growing up in that kind of a setting? And you said
not at all.
Not at all.
I was always thankful for everything that happened. And again, Juan Delgadillo has mentioned about giving back. And people in town would feed me. They would bring beans and tortillas. They would help me out. And I was working as a dishwasher starting at 10 years old. But he said, Frank, when you can, give back. And that wasn't a popular term in the 50s. Juan, what do you mean give back? I don't have a thing.
Right.
Frank, you don't need money to give back. You can give back your time. An example, look at Mrs. Sanchez. She's always bringing you beans or tortillas. Look at her yard. It's full of weeds. You can go clean up that yard. Look at Mr. Ortega. They've got an old wrecked caboose from the Santa Fe line, and they're trying to make it to their home. You can help them. They're trying to paint that. You can go over and help them do that.
Wow.
You can give back your time.
Well, now I know why good things have happened to you, for sure. So tell me about the first wish. So what was going on? Some people may not know the whole story. I know most of the story, but I think it would be really interesting for our listeners, if you don't mind, one more time. I'm sure you get asked this all the time. But
I'll give you the condensed version of it.
Okay.
And this was the inspiration for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, not the first wish.
Oh,
in
okay.
1980, I was a motorcycle officer with the Arizona Highway Patrol. And in fact, in the late 70s, there was a television show on NBC called Chips. That was very popular with the children. And Chips was about two California Highway Patrol motorcycle officers, Ponch and John. And for that age group, 7 to 14 or so, they just loved this show. And we would go, I was on a 10-man squad, worked the whole state of Arizona. We would go into towns, 2-man team. And our equipment and uniforms almost looked identical to California Highway Patrol. In fact, we initially trained in Sacramento with CHP. But now as we rode into town, the kids all of a sudden started be yelling, "Hey, Ponch, hey, John," and waving. And it was a great PR thing. We started going to the schools, talking about bicycle safety. Okay. And it just, again, a great PR thing. And then in 1980, our department was formed about a 7-year-old boy named Chris who had terminal leukemia. And his heroes were Ponch and John from that television show, Chips. And he told his mother, "When I grow up, I wish I can be a motorcycle officer like Ponch and John." Her family contacted the Highway Patrol, said, "Is there any way he can meet a motorcycle officer?" And I just happened to be the motorcycle officer that was chosen because of my work with the children all over the state of Arizona. And it was set up through permission of his mother, his doctors, that his little boy's on IVs in the hospital. That he would be picked up on our state police helicopter, flown to our headquarters building, where I would be standing by to meet this little boy when he landed. And I had no idea what to expect. He'd just come off IVs, Marissa, and I figured our paramedics are going to help him out in a wheelchair or carry him or something.
Right.
The helicopter lands, door opens up, out jumps a little pair of red sneakers, runs over the motorcycle. "Hi, I'm Chris. Can I get on your motorcycle?" "Of course you can." Now, he had watched Chips so often, he knew every button and switch because our equipment was identical. "This is a siren. Here's a red light. Can I turn it on? This is what's in your saddlebag. It's the same as Ponch has in his." This little boy just having so much fun.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Chips. And I'm looking at his mother, and she's crying, and I mean really sobbing. Yeah, and I couldn't understand that. Then it dawned on me, she has her typical 7-year-old back. He's not in a hospital. He's not dying. He's just having fun. And
right. Right.
And we were allowed to take the kids on a ride on a motorcycle in a parking lot during those years. And I asked Chris, "You want to go for a ride on a motorcycle?" He got very nervous, very serious. "No," his voice shook. And I said, "Well, I don't understand. You just rode on a helicopter."
Right.
And he looked at me and he said, "Helicopters have doors." And we learned that doors were very important to Chris. Motorcycles didn't have doors.
Oh, that's
then one of our sergeants came in a squad car. "Do you want to help drive the squad car?" Turn the red lights and siren. He jumped on the sergeant's lap because obviously the car
had doors.
And ran in the parking lot was so much fun as he's chewing bubble gum. And he blew this big giant bubble. And I looked at his mother and I said, "There's our little bubblegum trooper."
Oh.
She got a kick out of that. In fact, she wrote a book titled "The Little Bubblegum Trooper" that I think is still available on Amazon today.
Oh, that's great. I think my fabulous sound engineer just found a picture of that exact shot. He did.
But Chris went on that day to become the first and only honorary Highway Patrol motorcycle officer in the history of Arizona Highway Patrol, complete with his own badge, his own smoky hat, a helmet we gave him. And he got to go home that night. His doctor was with him and said, "I don't understand. He can go home. His vitals are so good." But before he left, he kept rubbing the wings, motorcycle wings, of my uniform. How do I be a motorcycle officer? And I was just telling him some of the things we had to do. And then he had to leave. The next morning, we got permission to go to Chris's house. We had a custom-made uniform made for him that night. Two ladies spent all night at the uniform shop making his uniform. I got permission to lead several motorcycles, squad cars into his neighborhood about 8 in the morning. Red lights and siren. You can imagine the neighbors, right?
Can't even imagine.
Chris comes running out. We hand him his uniform. He is just beaming. He runs and he comes out just strutting. Got on his smoky hat that we had given him. But he came over again and rubbed my wings. I want to be a motorcycle officer. That is my wish. That's the first time I heard that word, wish.
Oh.
I said, I was teasing him, if you could only had a motorcycle, Chris, we could set up some traffic cones here. I would test you right now to see if you could pass. Well, Chris is a step ahead of me. He runs in the house, comes riding on a little battery-operated motorcycle that his mother had got for him in place of a wheelchair.
Oh,
He's got on his helmet. He's got on the aviator glasses. His mother bought him a pair of what we call on a ranch high-top rubber mucking boots. That looks like a motorcycle officer boot.
Right.
He goes through the cones. He comes back. Did I pass my test? Yes, you did, Chris. Am I a motorcycle officer now? Yes, you are, Chris. When do I get my wings? Well, the wings were custom made. I said, Chris, it'll take a couple days to get those wings. I'll order them right now.
Oh.
He got to stay home again that night.
Oh,
a couple days later, I pick up the wings. Just as I pick them up, I get a call from our dispatcher. Chris is in a hospital in a coma, probably not going to survive the day. I got permission to go to the hospital. As I walked in his room, his uniform is hanging right by his bed. Just as I pinned on those motorcycle wings, Chris came out of the coma. He looks at me. He starts smiling. Am I a motorcycle officer now? Yes, you are, Chris. His wish had become true. He asked for his uniform. He's rubbing the wings. He's giggling. He's showing his mother. And unfortunately, a couple hours later, he passed away.
Oh, God.
And I always like to think maybe those wings helped carry him to heaven. Now, our commanders contacted me and said, we have learned that Chris is going to be buried in a little town called Kewanee, Illinois. And we would like you and another motorcycle officer to go back and give him a full police funeral. We have lost a fellow officer. Remember, he was sworn in as an officer. And we did go back there. What's so amazing is our word of our mission got out. The TV stations in Chicago and Phoenix and so on are picking this up. As we approached Kewanee, Illinois, we were met by several Illinois State Police, City Police, County Police, who all helped give this little boy a full police funeral.
Wow.
He was buried in uniform. His grave marker reads, Chris Gracious, Arizona Trooper. But flying home to Arizona, I just started thinking, here's a little boy who had a wish, and we made it happen. Why can't we do that for other children? And that's when the idea of the foundation was born, maybe 35,000 feet over Kansas or something.
Wow. That is...
all of this because of one little boy.
Wow. I'm like bawling. Thank you very much, Frank. And I have to redo my makeup. I don't know.
They're happy tears, right?
They're happy tears. And how moving. I'm like, I don't think I've heard the whole one. It's definitely not from you. I've read it. And thank you for sharing that complete story. And I'm going to give you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award right now. Not everybody gets that award, Frank, on the show. I knew I was going to give it to you, but I thought I was going to wait till the end. But I can't wait till the end of the show because that was just, you're like a really good storyteller. When I talked to Stephanie, she's like, oh, he's got this down. I had no idea that I heard you on stage years ago, and this is your calling. You definitely are going to go around the world, because that's such an inspiring story.
And the biggest thing is when I was told, like I said, to always give back. Everyone can be a hero.
Right.
And I've got to see Juan Delgadillo a lot after that little town in Seligman. I go visit him. And he'd always just give me a hug, and he says, Frank, you definitely gave back. And that meant so much to me.
Oh, my goodness.
My father figure, my mentor.
That's beautiful. And is he still alive now?
No, unfortunately, he passed away several years ago.
Oh, but I'm sure he was super proud. And, boy, you really took his words to heart and went all the way. And
such a neat thing is I'm still friends with the family. And they have it up in the little town called Seligman, Arizona, which is on old Route 66, a thing called the Snow Cap, which Juan built and developed. In fact, they helped him build it. But I say he's friends with the family, and his son is now running it. And I'm going to jump real quick to the movie we just completed.
Yes.
The character that plays Juan, they were going to give a different name, and I got the studio to agree to use a real name in this movie to honor his family.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And before I forget to do a station ID, if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who the great voice on the other line who just zoomed in the amazing story from the very beginning of how Make-A-Wish Foundation was started and how the idea started, and the little boy and I mean, if you missed it and you're just tuning in, you have to rewind and listen, because it's a beautiful story. It's, I'm going to have to do my makeup again. And I love the fact that even if you have a tough past, even if you don't grow up with what people think a healthy childhood, like Frank did, that you can do amazing, inspirational things. So I hope that anyone who's feeling sorry for themselves, who did grow up poor, is listening to this and knowing that you're destined to do great things if you don't wallow in things that have happened to you. Frank Shankwitz, a founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, is who I'm talking to today on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. And now let's go to the movie, because I love this story. This is like part 2 of Wish's story. So I'll start it off by saying a mutual friend of ours who we're going to be speaking on his stage together. I don't know if you know that Greg asked me to hop on the other side out of the media box. And so I'm grateful for that. So I get to share a stage with the amazing Frank Shankwitz. I guess it's when we air this, it'll be tomorrow. So that is the coolest thing. And so Greg was introduced to you by, was it Ryan or was it the other way around?
Introduced me by Clarissa Burt.
Clarissa Burt, who's also been on my show, who's a fantastic, beautiful woman, also a beneficial presence on the planet, huge actress and model on 50 covers. So she introduced you to Greg.
Correct.
Okay. And Greg Reed is like everything. So I can't even summarize what he does, but he does this one event several times a year called Secret Knock. And that's one of the places that I met you. So Greg asks you tell me if this is the right part of the story. He loves you and was so impressed by you and your story on stage. He said to you, if you had a wish, Frank, what would that be? Was that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what did you say?
I just said I'd like my story to be told somehow, so that especially my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandson knows that I did something, and they can also do something to, again, everybody can be a hero. It doesn't take money to be that hero, but just tell that story, get that story out.
Right. And Greg
approached me and he said, we're going to make this movie. And I said, well, no, you're not. And he said, yes, we are. And I thought they were talking a documentary. And he said, no, we're doing a full-length motion picture.
Right.
And that was 5 years ago. And what a journey that's been.
Yes. And Greg will be the first one to say, sometimes I say yes and not realizing, because he had no experience in the major movie industry. He had no idea what he was doing. And look at last month it finished.
Yes. And it's like I've been taught in college, and Greg even says, surround yourself with people smarter than you. And that's what he did for the movie. He got the people, he got the director, executive directors, just all the help he could get. He's not that ego type person where I know what I'm doing.
Right.
I want help in what I'm doing.
Right.
And we got this fantastic crew.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And several of the actors are friends of mine as well. The little Christian Gagnère is one of my favorite actors. He plays the
Michael is a character name, but he plays Chris.
Right.
The boy that passed away.
Right. And then Andrew Steele is you, right? When you were young?
Yeah, we had trouble casting me because we had to find my characters from 1950 to 1980, and during that 1980 period, someone that was good looking like I was in that country. We had trouble. No.
And humble. Yes, Frank.
Andrew, from Australia. This is his first U.S. production he's been in, and this man worked so hard to do this. He not only, the biggest thing was the dialect. He had to get rid of that Aussie accent.
Right.
He worked with a dialect coach forever and ever. He had to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Then he had to go through police-type motorcycle training, handling. I mean, this man worked.
Right. That's great. And now it's coming out. I know there's doing a screening this week at Secret Knox. Do you know the schedule when it's going to be released to the mainstream?
Well, we don't have a schedule on that. On September 17th, they are doing a showing with several distributors in the LA area. Now, as I learned, you can make all the movies you want, but if the distributor doesn't pick it up, it's
right. Well,
there is so much interest in this movie, they had to rent a private theater to accommodate all the distributors that want to see this.
That's awesome. That's a very good sign. And I just know it's going to be great because it's a meaningful movie, which is, an oxymoron sometimes.
Well, again, the tagline of the movie is everyone can be a hero.
Yeah. And that is definitely a great marriage. I mean, definitely, that's my next question, but definitely a great message. So the next question is, and it's funny because I actually asked to see if your wife would like to also come on the show, and I was told no. She hates the spotlight, but I do want to find out because I know that she was also very instrumental and totally supportive of you, and I love love stories, and I know you've been with her. So how did you meet your wife?
Well, she was a what we call traveling secretary for the Arizona Highway Patrol for our 10-man squad. Especially when we would the whole 10 of us would be in an area at one time for super saturation. And she would do all the reports for us and this and that. And I didn't bring up the fact that I was killed in the line of duty and brought back to life.
What? Wait. Back up. When did this happen?
1978. I was, again, Arizona Highway Patrol motorcycle officer in a high-speed chase with a drunk driver. Another drunk driver pulled right in front of me. I couldn't break and escape in time, hit him broadside at 80 miles an hour, and was pronounced dead at the scene. My partner tried to bring me back. He couldn't do it. They called in the code 963A, officer killed in the line of duty. An off-duty emergency room nurse from California stopped and said, please let me try and bring him back. They said, well, go ahead, but he's dead. We have nothing. For 4 minutes, she worked on me. Obviously, we're talking, and brought me back to life.
Wow.
But it was severe injuries, a traumatic brain injury, skull fracture, broken bones, a lot of missing skin. And the little town that we were at didn't have really a hospital, just a clinic, and they had to put me in the motel. We couldn't get the helicopter to fly me back to Phoenix quick enough. And they said somebody has to stay with him for the next day or two to make sure he doesn't go into shock.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's when, and I knew Kitty. I mean, we had known each other, but never anything romantic. But during that particular time, we just started kind of looking at each other and saying, well, this is kind of neat. So,
Aww. So she came.
Several years later, we were married. Now, Kitty is also one of the co-founders of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
That's beautiful.
And I tell this little story that after our first official wish, I told our board someday we're going to be international and national granting wishes all over the world. And they all laughed at me except one lady, and that was Kitty. And I got my wish 3 years later when she said I do. The audience goes like that. Oh, the ladies go.
That's so beautiful. That's why I asked the question. I had no idea what the answer was. I'm glad that you didn't say you're still
thick and thin, especially supporting my career as a police officer, but also traveling all over for Make-A-Wish when we were doing it. And such a presence on camera. But she just finally said, it's your thing now.
Aww.
Such a presence on camera.
That's.
In fact, she got chosen to be an extra in the movie.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, so she's got a small part in the movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Great. A funny question. Why do you always wear a cowboy hat?
Well, the real reason is...
You have no hair?
What? I have what?
No hair?
No. Lots of hair there.
that was a test, and you passed.
No, I've being raised on type ranch life, off duty, and so on. Skin cancer, and I've got a lot of skin cancer right now. Before the days of sunscreen were invented.
Okay.
But at several Make-A-Wish events, I was wearing the hat, and the children would start coming up to me asking for a picture wearing my cowboy hat.
Oh, okay.
And that got to be so neat. So now it's a trademark. It's a symbol wherever I go.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it also protects me from the sun, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Isn't he incredible? Wonderful. I can't think of more. There's so many accolades. And I actually also got to interview him on the red carpet when his life was put on film in a film called Wishman by my friend Greg Reed, Dr. Ed Reed now, who asked him, "What is your wish?" And he said, "I'd like to have my story told so the kids know." And so Greg put a movie together that was actually in the short list to be nominated for some things. And he has a star on the Las Vegas Walk of Fame, as well as Greg. And I absolutely am so delighted that I got to know him and spend time with him. If you want to see the rest of that interview and my red carpet interviews with him and Kitty, free subscribe on my YouTube channel and you'll get those there. Okay? And that's it for another positively opinionated episode of Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, and reminding you that it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from her living room during the pandemic, wishing you the best day ever.